Hello friends, Patrick here, and today I'm going to be talking about the topic of, is it better to have higher resolution or higher frame rates, and where the balance is. Now first off, I guess if you have the PC gaming crowd, they can say they want the best of both worlds, both high resolution and high frame rates. And I have to agree that is like the best case scenario, but in real world performances with computers, it's not really the situation at all most of the time. There are exceptions for old games, you can get the best of both worlds, but let's just talk about the newer games and things happening now. The other side is obviously consoles, where we have a bit of a discrepancy in this regard. We barely ever hit 1080p, and we barely ever hit 60 frames. There are a few games, especially on the PS4 platform, that have both, and that's really good. That is definitely pushing the envelope in the console space. I'm not going to try and compare the both too much, but there are games that go on a lower resolution with some upscaling and still only hit 30 frames, which I think is a bit bad compared to the fact that most PS2 and PS3 games had much better frame rates and even resolutions. So now the consoles have brought out the new versions, the PS4 S or Xbox S and all that Neo stuff that was codenamed. I really don't follow it too much, but what it has given is basically Netflix at 4K and better improved performance. However, Microsoft, for example, has noted that any game that comes out on the newer version of the Xbox One and Xbox One Original will play the same, only the quality will be better, which is exactly what happens on a PC anyway. So let's talk about resolutions and frame rates. Frame rates are good for the eyes. They are smoother, and even when playing competitively, it is the best thing to have higher frame rates, and resolutions are not going to matter as much. Most competitive players will play at 1080, but with 144Hz refresh rates, and I'm talking about the CSGO crowd. Other games, also same thing, 1080p with that high refresh rate. That's what you want when you're playing competitively. However, on cinematic games like Tomb Raider, or even so much so as Quantum Break that I've recently been playing, that's come out on Windows finally. It was exclusive to Xbox, but you know, here we are, Microsoft Store's got it. That game itself is really gorgeous, and the resolutions have to be high because there is a bit of people-to-people cinematography there where you really want to see the emotion of their faces, and with frame rates it's not really going to change much, and having that cinematic feel in the cutscenes does help. I do prefer a higher frame rate than 24, however, when you're watching a movie. But again, this is a case-by-case basis, but I think in games like Tomb Raider and Quantum Break, a higher resolution is going to give you a bit more enjoyment out of your game because you're not competitively fighting or trying to get that second closer shot than your opponent, that headshot. That is something that you have to consider when thinking about these two things. So it depends on the game. I've been playing Tomb Raider between 50 and 60 frames. I don't need to go to 120. I would love to, but I can't really push that beast up any further, but I'm pretty happy. With The Witcher, for example, I turn up everything to maximum and play at 60 frames, and I really love it because I'm not having to aim a cursor, I'm not having to aim just those little shots, those headshots, and I'm finding the fight scenes are so much more nice in 60 frames than 30 frames, for example. So, in that case, a higher resolutions at almost 2.5K on this monitor and a refresh rate of 60 frames is really good. Now on the consoles, you are sitting further away from the screen, so a high resolution isn't going to really help. When you're sitting that far away, a 720p resolution will actually probably look good as a 1080p resolution. The problem begins when you have bigger TVs that are 4K, and when they're bigger, obviously the image is a bit more stretched, so a 720p image will get stretched and it will look pretty bad. So 1080p upscaled to a 4K TV looks much better than a 720p upscaled to 4K. But let's say there's a 42-inch, 55-inch TV at 720 and you're sitting about 3 meters from the TV with your wireless controller. you won't really notice the difference. The real main reason the PC crowd really tout about their resolution is because we sit extremely close to that one single monitor and any resolution defects can really be seen. What I think the console should go for is actually the higher frame rate, because a smoother gameplay is so much more enjoyable, and that is why the PlayStation 2 was so popular. The gameplay was really smooth, and it didn't matter of the quality of the resolution. So what's better, high frame rates or high resolutions? Well, as you may have noticed from my examples, it really depends on the case. My preference, if I had the choice between the two, not choosing both of them, would be higher frame rates. Smoother gameplay for me when you're so up close and hopefully immersed in your one single screen is probably a better solution, a better option. When you're moving the mouse or using the keyboard, you are expecting precision. When playing on the console, because of that, I think frame rates are important, but a resolution could actually help you on a bigger TV to have a more visual fidelity, and the frame rates probably won't really matter as much to yourselves, and that's why you might notice that a lot of people who play consoles just really don't care, and if it looks good on their screen, they don't care about the frame rates. And that's what I think it is. When you're sort of further away from the screen, it's not as distracting a lower frame rate than it is to be up close to a monitor. The other thing I should mention is also the fact how you control the game. With a controller, like I have right here, it's a different precision. It's not as precise. These sticks are not as precise. The buttons are just like keyboard buttons. You're not gonna get any different there. But aiming with these things is not precise. That's why you might notice that console games have aim assist, and that really is needed to really get those competitive shots going. And I'm actually, honestly, just PS, I'm kind of surprised there is competitions on consoles for things like Call of Duty. I really think that precision is a better skill than using these with auto assist aim. I don't know if they do. Let me know in the comments below if you've been to a competition and they've used aim assist with their controllers. Anyway, there are modifications you can do to this controller to make it, snappier, faster, make this more grippy. But again, a PC has more precision, and that's why I think frame rates there, resolution over there on the consoles on a TV. Now here's the thing. Imagine plugging in this computer into the TV and playing at 1080p or 4K at 60 frames. Now wouldn't that be just fantastic? And it is, I've tried it. The problem becomes lag. There is an extreme visual lag that connects between the HDMI cable and the TV itself. And what consoles have done really well is remove that lag. With the computer, there is a bit of motion blur too, and it's just not quite right. So that's probably why gaming on the TV hasn't taken off just yet, as much as just normal monitors like this still cost a lot and people are buying them. Guys, thank you very much for watching. It was a bit of a video I wanted to get off my chest about resolutions and frame rates. Let me know what you think. Is frame rates more important for you, or is resolution? Are you a PC gamer or a console gamer? Guys, we're all here about the games anyway, but let me know what you guys think. I want to know, and let's get a discussion going. I'll catch you guys later.